Did you know that France has a platform capable of competing with YouTube? A real gem. Born in Paris, her name is Dailymotion, and at its peak, it was the European alternative to the American giants. But today, if I say Dailymotion, you might think, oh, yeah, that still exists. And yet at one time, everything seemed possible. Dailymotion was on track to become a global player in online video. Until the day when everything changed, a single decision that would alter its fate forever. You might be wondering which one. Hold on tight, because this story has everything it takes to make a good Hollywood movie, without the happy ending. Ambition, secret negotiations, a forceful political intervention, and an ending no one could have imagined. Today, we're diving into this fascinating story to find out how a political decision sealed the fate of a promising French company. Let's go back a bit to 2005. At that time, the internet was booming. YouTube had just been created in the United States and in France. Two ambitious young engineers decided to embark on the adventure of online video. Dailymotion was born in a Paris apartment with a simple idea: to allow anyone to upload and share their videos online. Quickly, the platform experienced tremendous success. The French embraced it massively, attracted by its simplicity and local appeal. It wasn't just an alternative to YouTube, it was a platform that resembled them, that spoke their language. In just a few years, Dailymotion became a major player in Europe and attracted millions of users every month. But this success did not go unnoticed. In 2011, France telecom Orange, the telecom giant, decided to invest heavily in the platform, seeing it as a strategic lever to compete with the Americans. With Orange's support, Dailymotion now has the means to achieve its ambitions. However, there is a problem. While the platform dominates in France and Europe, it remains almost non-existent in the United States, the most important market in the world for online video. And that's where the idea of a partnership with an American giant like Yahoo starts to take root. But to understand why this partnership was crucial, you first need to understand the context of the time. The video platform war is in full swing. YouTube, owned by Google, establishes itself as the undisputed leader, thanks to its access to billions of users and virtually unlimited financial resources. Faced with such a giant, Dailymotion needed a powerful ally to tackle the American market, and that's where things get complicated. In 2013, Yahoo was undergoing a major transformation. I talked about it in the video on the fall of the search giant, which you can find in the description. Marissa Mayer, a former figure at Google, had just taken over the company with a clear mission: to revive the growth of a giant that was losing momentum. Among her priorities, one goal stands out: to develop Yahoo's presence in the online video sector. And after missing out on the chance to acquire Facebook and Google for next to nothing, Yahoo fully intends to seize the Dailymotion opportunity, which represents a perfect gateway to the European video market with its millions of users. The goal is clear: to buy 75% of the platform for an estimated amount of $300 million, with a purchase option to reach 100% in the future. For Dailymotion and its main shareholder, Orange, this partnership seems to be the opportunity of the century. Yahoo has the financial resources, the technology, and above all, access to the American market, which Dailymotion desperately needs. For Stefan Richard, the chief executive officer of Orange, this agreement could turn Dailymotion into a global player capable of standing up to YouTube. The negotiations are progressing quickly. Both parties seem to be on the verge of finalizing the agreement. For Yahoo, this acquisition would be the most significant since the arrival of Marissa Mayer, and a very strong signal sent to investors. Everything seems aligned, but that's without taking into account the intervention of the French government. At that time, the government still owned 27% of Orange's capital, and through this stake, a right to oversee the company's strategic decisions. And for Montebourg, Minister of Industrial Renewal, letting Dailymotion fall under American control is out of the question. And the consequence is going to be terrible. To really understand why everything went off track, we need to look at the reason behind Montebourg's reaction. At the time, in 2013, he was the Minister of Industrial Renewal. According to him, it is clear that we must protect strategic French companies and prevent them from falling under foreign control. In the case of Dailymotion, Montebourg sees a unique opportunity but also a danger. According to him, Letting Yahoo take control of the total platform would mean abandoning this French gem. He believes that a limited partnership with a balance between the two companies is essential to preserve Dailymotion's identity. It's a noble vision, certainly, but one that will come up against economic reality head-on. Montebourg doesn't do things halfway. He decides to intervene personally in the negotiations. In April 2013, he summons the leaders of Yahoo to Paris in the presence of Stéphane Richard, Chief Executive Officer of Orange, and representatives of the state. During this meeting, he sets his conditions. Yahoo will not be allowed to own more than 50% of Dailymotion. Montebourg's justification is clear. He compares this agreement to the Renault-Nissan alliance, a partnership where both companies keep their identity. But Yahoo isn't convinced. For the American giant, a limited takeover wouldn't justify such an investment. Yahoo's executives leave frustrated and the negotiations stall. For his part, Stéphane Richard, the chief executive officer of Orange, doesn't hide his dissatisfaction. He publicly explains that Dailymotion is a subsidiary of Orange, not of the state. According to him, this political intervention will complicate a situation that is already difficult. For Richard, the partnership with Yahoo represented a unique opportunity to open the doors to the American market, which is crucial for Dailymotion's growth. But Montebourg remains firm. During an interview on Europe, he defends his decision by stating that it is in the interest of France and Dailymotion. He insists that Dailymotion must remain a French company, even if it means turning down attractive offers. In the end, Yahoo decides to withdraw. The American giant gives up its ambitions for Dailymotion and considers that the conditions imposed by the French minister are unacceptable. This refusal marks a turning point. Not only does Dailymotion lose a golden opportunity, but the company also finds itself isolated once again, with no strategic partner in sight. This intervention by Arnaud Montebourg has become one of the most controversial episodes of his career. For some, it symbolizes the protection of a national asset, and for others, a strategic mistake that hastened Dailymotion's decline. Which side are you on? But the story doesn't end there. After the failed negotiations with Yahoo, the consequences were soon felt. Dailymotion, already struggling against YouTube's dominance, found itself in an even more fragile position. This partnership could have been a springboard to enter the American market, but instead the platform remained limited to Europe, where competition with YouTube was fierce. For Yahoo, it's also a major setback. The company, which was trying to establish itself in the online video market, saw its project fail. This partnership was crucial for Marissa Mayer's strategy, who wanted to prove to investors that Yahoo was still capable of innovating and growing. Losing this opportunity weakens confidence in her leadership and in the company's future. But you can guess that, right? The deepest repercussions are felt in France. On the international level, the case is seen as a negative signal for foreign investors. The Wall Street Journal, for example, harshly criticizes the interventionism of the French state and describes it as a hindrance to investments. The image of a protectionist France, hostile to large international companies, is thus reinforced. And for Dailymotion, this failure will mark the beginning of a long decline. Without international support, the platform struggles to compete with YouTube, which continues to expand its hold on the global market. This missed opportunity not only cost Dailymotion a strategic partner, but perhaps also its long-term survival. After Yahoo's departure, Dailymotion and Orange embark on a frantic search for a new partner. Stéphane Richard publicly explains that he has reviewed more than 60 potential candidates, both in France and abroad. But none of them seem to have the scale or resources needed to offer Dailymotion what it needs most: a strong presence in the American market. Meanwhile, YouTube continues to expand its grip. Backed by Google's immense resources, the American giants are establishing themselves as the go-to platform for online video. Its monetization model, powerful algorithms, and massive user community make competition almost impossible. Faced with this giant, Dailymotion struggles to keep up, and despite all their efforts, no new significant agreement is reached. Dailymotion remains a largely European platform, unable to break into international markets where the future of online video is now being decided. This deadlock gradually seals its fate and leaves a bitter taste for those who still believed in its potential. The years following the failed negotiations with Yahoo mark a slow and inexorable decline for Dailymotion. Internally, tensions continue. Orange, the main shareholder, begins to lose patience. The company is looking to reduce its losses and gradually withdraw from Dailymotion. Finally, in 2015, Orange sold 90% of the platform to the conglomerate Vivendi, which is a French company specializing in media. But even with this new owner, Dailymotion is struggling to reinvent itself. Vivendi is trying to reposition the platform by focusing on more premium content and seeking to attract new audiences. However, its efforts come too late. YouTube's dominance is overwhelming, and the online video ecosystem has already shifted in favor of the major American platforms. Today, Dailymotion is just a memory for many, while YouTube reigns supreme over online video. Its story is fascinating, but it's also full of regrets. A French platform that had everything it needed to succeed was held back by a mix of political interventionism and a lack of strategic vision. The question that this story raises is, how far should a state intervene in the private sector? Is protecting a national company always the best solution? By the way, a state that doesn't hesitate to intervene to save its companies is the Chinese state. With an interesting strategy, it allowed Huawei to make an impressive comeback after its fall following the American sanctions. As you can see in the video that's showing,